All right, y'all. Today we're hitting some legs. This is basically the last pretty heavy squat day I'm going to do for a little bit. I just got done with a 10-week bulk, put on, give or take, about 15 pounds. So kind of an aggressive bulk, but ended up putting a good amount of size on and had some good strength gains. So definitely worked out. Just got a little bit of a stretching thing going on here. So my stretching routine's pretty chill. I just do some leg I just do some some leg swings. Really, the only thing I'm doing here is just warming up my hip, and then also I kind of get tight hamstrings. I think it's probably from deadlifts, but those two things I just kind of want to get warmed up and stretched. Knees not really a problem for me. Luckily, every once in a while I'll tweak something, but really all of the knee warming up is just from the squatting and the ladder up to my heavier weights. So the other thing that I'm doing here, and I don't see this a whole lot, but I think it makes a big difference if you've got longer arms or if you've got kind of poor shoulder mobility. Some people will have a little bit of an issue with their wrist just getting into the squat rack. So what I've got here is I just got a 10-pound plate. All that I'm doing is warming up that wrist joint, and it makes it a lot better for getting into position just with pain and stuff like that. So I've been incorporating that. The left one's the one that really bothers me. So if I get 10 or 15 just plate raises on that side, it really helps. And yep, looks like we're about to start doing some of the warm-up reps. And you can't quite see it from the angle of this camera, but I've got just a 45-pound plate on the floor. The reason I've been doing that is I've noticed in past videos that I'm not really hitting depth the way that I thought I was. You notice in that first couple of reps, I'm really thinking about just squatting down as deep as I can, and I'm not sure if it's an ankle mobility issue or if my calves are running into my hamstrings, but that really is as deep as I can squat. So not sure if I need to look at just getting, a higher heel wedge or something like that so I can hit depth a little bit better. But that's something that I'm working on, especially for like competition. It's totally fine for training if you're just above or right at parallel, but for competition, I really want to get just like 2 or 3 inches lower than that. So, all right, and I'm moving up to just like 2 plates, nothing crazy. I like doing the plate jumps. I know some people like to do quarters. They'll put start with 135 and then they'll put a 25 on each side. I just feel like that takes forever. There is such a thing as over warming up. I see that a lot where people are just basically doing 2 or 3 working sets worth of warming up. All that I'm doing here is I'm going nice and slow with the weight, making sure my form feels good, making sure knees and all that stuff feel good. And so far I'm feeling great. I'm walking over and getting 2 more plates for 315. And 315 is it's still light for me, but this is where I start to tell if I'm going to have a good day or not with squats. If 315 moves really good, I know I'm set to bump up into the 400s. And wrists are feeling good and can't complain one bit. I think I'm looking for collars right now. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear, do you guys prefer squatting with steel plates or rubber plates? Because I got to say, I work out with music in my ears. Something about having the steel plates bouncing around right next to my head, I'm not a huge fan of. I've got 2 memberships now, and the place that I've squatted at for years all has rubber plates, and they really lock in. You barely even notice them. It's weird having steel just rattling next to your head. I'm getting used to it. I've only been going to this gym for about a week, but definitely something to get used to. And then another thing, I'd love to hear from the power lifters and the people who are squatting pretty heavy. Do you prefer squatting with a mirror or without a mirror? I've done both now, and I've primarily trained with a mirror just so I can make sure I've got good depth and I've got the bar even on my back, and it's starting to get just kind of difficult. It's more like getting the bar straight on my back. Like I think I've got pretty good form going on here. It's just it's almost like because I don't have the mirror, I'm overthinking where the bar position is on my back, but it's not the end of the world. I'm getting used to it. I still haven't squatted like anywhere near 5 plates yet without a mirror, but I'm getting used to it. So I'm putting 4 or 5 on here. Again, those steel plates rattling around like crazy. But today was a little bit of an interesting workout. So as of the recording of this video, I was only 2 days into my deficit. So basically, like I said, I got up to 230 and some change. I think my max morning weight was 237, but in this video, I'm 228. So over those 2 days, I lost like 4.5 pounds each day. That's not fat, that's just the glycogen stores, but I'm not really feeling depleted yet. 2 days isn't really enough time for me to really feel depleted. But what I wanted to do here was just try and get as much volume with 405 as I could. The particular reason I want to do this is I've had a pretty rough squat cycle just over the past 10 weeks. It seems like every pound that I gain almost works against me for squats. So I've failed 485 more times than I can count on this training cycle. I can get up to 465, 475, no problem. It feels really good. But as soon as I put, somewhere around 5 plates on my back, I'm just like, I don't know if it's the spinal compression that's like freaking out my nervous system, but I don't know what it is. Like I've got a mental block anytime I start getting up to that weight, whereas 405 feels heavy, but not to the point where it feels like it's kind of crushing me, if that makes sense. So what I'm doing here is just, I'm not looking to squat till failure. I just wanted to get some good volume in. So ended up doing 2 sets of 3 with 405, and then I just do a double after that. And then you'll see in another clip, I get to 315 for, I believe, 11 or 12. I wasn't really counting. I just wanted to go until my quads were on fire. But these are moving really good. Again, this isn't really heavy for me. Obviously, like the last couple are. But this is just me getting used to having no mirror and steel plates. Like, this is just a new environment for me. And I don't know that I'm really going to get above this for the next training cycle. So the plan moving forward after basically this workout is obviously with squats, I'm still going to incorporate those. I'm still probably going to try and get up into like the 450 range for maybe a single or a double. I noticed on the last diet that I had, the more heavy weight that I kept in my training cycle, the better I did coming out of that. But my squat performance just hasn't been that great. I haven't really improved a lot in the past, 6 weeks or so. But, that's all part of this. With squat, bench, and deadlift, usually it seems like a few of those lifts do really well, and then you've got one that's kind of lagging. So for me, I put 15 pounds on my deadlift in 6 weeks or so. That was awesome. And then I just put 5 pounds on my bench, but I've got more in me. I just haven't done another PR max attempt since then. But the squats, man, they're just, for me, I love them. I think they're great. Feel like I've got really good form. It's a mental thing for me. There's something about having that weight on your back. Feels like it's crushing you. I'm working through it, but we'll see what happens. It really humbles me because I think about the guys that have like 600 pounds plus on their back and they're squatting that for reps. I know that's kind of a rare breed, but just the fact that those people can tolerate having that weight on their back is crazy. Like when I got back from the gym doing this squat session, I had a bruise all the way across my back from the bar. It's like I squat, every other week pretty heavy, and I'm surprised that I'm not adapting to that, but at least that's like validation that, I'm not just being a bitch. It's really heavy. But yeah, that felt good. So that's all I did for squat volume that day. What I'm doing here is obviously some calf raises, never skip calves. I've got to work on, I don't know if you can see in this video, but you've basically got 2 heads of your calves, and the calf basically on the inside of my leg is a little bit overdeveloped versus the outside. So the way that I'm going to start fixing that is basically doing calf raises pigeon-toed. So the idea is that you can kind of select which part of your calf you're growing. Now this might just be my insertions, I'm not totally sure, but I'm going to see if that helps. Not that I've got, bad calf shape or anything. In fact, I think I've got pretty good calves for where I started at 6 years ago. I'm pretty happy with these actually. But yeah, just getting a little bit of calf volume in is always good. I'm probably doing calves a little bit more than I need to. I think I'm doing calves 3 days a week. I'll just sprinkle it in, obviously on leg days, and then I'll add it sometimes at the end of like a back day or something, just if they feel like they're recovered. But yeah, I've put on a lot of size on my legs on this bulk that I just did, which is interesting, because you'd think if I put a lot of size on, that would correspond to 1 rep max strength for squats, but I haven't been seeing that. But I'll have to throw up a picture. But I've been doing a lot of leg extensions as well. In fact, that's what I did right before these calf raises. I just did some seating leg extensions and doing, anywhere from like 5 to 8 sets till failure, pretty heavy. And the quad sweep is definitely starting to show up, whereas I didn't have a whole lot of that. And then the long and short head parts of the quad are definitely growing. So that's cool to see like a visual change in the mirror just with like the shape of my legs. But I do wish that would correspond to, the 1 rep max strength. And then just to wrap up this workout, this was actually an hour-long workout, if you can believe that. I didn't show everything, but what I'm doing here is just kind of like calves. I treat shoulders as just accessory work. I don't have a dedicated shoulder day. I will do shoulders 4 times a week, and what I'm doing here is just an exercise I made up. It's not like I'm not a genius or anything. I didn't invent the lateral raise, but having a knee up on a bench and then putting an arm up like this, it is a great way to break through that plateau that everyone has where they're stuck lateral raising like the 25s. I've got a 60 here, and I'm doing 16 for like 12 reps or something like that. And if you're not happy with your side delt development, I can't recommend these enough. I have blown up my shoulders with these just compared to where I've been. They're still a little bit lagging compared to a lot of the rest of my training, just because I haven't taken shoulder training as seriously as some of the other lifts that I do. But these are awesome. I'll do 5 sets of this, no problem. All right, and then just to round this out, I've got my physique update. So this was me at 237. Definitely a little bit fluffier than I want to be all the time, but I put a lot of good size on. So as next few weeks go over, I'll still be doing some heavy lifting and some heavy training, but I'm planning on getting back down to about 220-ish. So appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.